Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. If you're joining us live on LinkedIn Live for the conversation with Ken Daigle about manifesting what matters, welcome, Ken. We'll bio you and introduce you a little bit in a moment. But we are just delighted whether you're with us live or you're watching us on video afterwards. This is the second in my three-part series, my spring author series. And so we'd love to just know where people are dialing in from this morning. So if you can drop in the chat where you are joining us from, we'd love to see who's in the room and what parts of the city, state, country, and world we have represented with us this morning. I am JD Schramm, the author of Communicate with Mastery. And with me today is my partner in life and in business, and truly my best friend, Reverend Ken Daigle. Welcome, Ken.
Hey, great to be here with you.
It's great to have you here as well. As people are joining us in the room, please just drop into the chat where you are joining us from. We love to know geographically where everyone is in the room from, and delighted to have Panama. We are truly global this morning. And Nebraska, so completely global. We've included the East Coast, the West Coast, the center of the country. We are excited to let you know there will be a free copy of Ken's book and a companion book that will be given away at the end of this live session, as well as we'll, to another person, we'll give away a copy of my book, Communicate with Mastery. And so if you want to be a part of that, just drop into the chat, I'm in, and that way we know you want to be considered for the book. Oh, Ken, I didn't bring a copy of your book with me. Can you hand me a copy?
Get you one. Here you go.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. We are in the same house, but different floors. Ken's book, Unapologetic Manifestation, is the source of our conversation today. Ken is a first-time author, but long-time thought leader on the art of manifestation. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, both at an individual as well as a team and group level. Ken is the senior minister at Unity of San Francisco, where I think you're in your 14th year as senior minister. Has just finished 3 terms on the board of Unity's headquarters. And prior to ministry, had a several-year career on Broadway as a dancer, performer, choreographer, and assistant director. And Ken, welcome on to the conversation this morning.
It's great to be here. Looking forward to this conversation.
Excellent. Well, I am as well. You drive a car with a license plate that says 5 steps. And so can you just, for our viewers and listeners, let us know what is the 5 steps of unapologetic manifestation?
The 5 steps, they are what I've noticed that businesses and individuals and organizations and all of us do to create in our lives, but we've never had an organized system for it. So the 5 steps that I've researched and developed are: focus your mind, which is out of the infinite field to pick something that you want to achieve, accomplish, or create, and set your mind to it and name it and claim it out loud. The second step is to shift your consciousness. The level of consciousness you're living in right now has created what you already have. So if you want to go beyond that, you have to change something within you to create something else on the outside. The third step is to take new concrete steps. Again, we must be in the world and taking the action in the world to create in the world. The fourth step is to share your journey, because none of this happens alone. We are all co-creating with each other and in relationship. So sharing our journey and sharing our goals and desires helps us refine them and finds the co-collaborators to work with us. And the fifth step is to be open, because when you're open to how it's going to show up and how it's going to manifest in the world, You're open to the real realm of the universe. Our thinking can only recreate what we already know, but when we're open, there's something bigger than we could ever imagine waiting for us. And that process is revelatory in many ways.
And Ken, where did these 5 steps come from? And I'm just uh, for the sake of the audience, I'm just going to repeat them briefly. Focus your mind, shift your consciousness, take concrete steps, share your journey, and be open. Where did those come from?
Well, I've been developing it over about 12 years since I started teaching this creation classes, prosperity classes, abundance classes, all kinds of different formulations and writing about it and doing the research. I've studied people like Amy Cuddy from Harvard, who did power poses and started using power poses in my public speaking work, right? And all of that. But the idea of how the mind actually works. Then I read some of James Doty's work, a neuroscientist at Stanford, and looking at how we do create neural pathways in our brain, new neural pathways in our brain, and how we shift from what we currently understand to a new understanding. So then looking across the field of social sciences from Adam Grant at Wharton, Brene Brown, and all of her work on how we do it in psychology, how we do it in social interactions, and how we work as human beings with each other. I've noticed that there was a pattern that was developing and a way we get from point A to point B. So I went through several different iterations of it. It went from 3 steps to 4 steps until now it's 5 steps. And I've read other versions of it that have 6 and 7 steps, but all of them are all contained in whatever model you're looking at.
Yeah.
I just found the 5 steps the easiest to remember and to articulate. And that's how I put it together in my book.
I love the simplicity of it, and the subtitle even, 5 steps to create the life you want. Talk to us a little bit, Ken, about the title. It's a little bit of a tongue twister for me still, Unapologetic Manifestation. What had you land on those 2 particular terms? And then I have a follow-up question, but let me just start with that one to start. Oh, and for people who've just joined us, welcome. Glad to have you with us. We are going to give away copies of Ken's book, 1 copy of Ken's book and workbook, as well as my book. If you just drop into the chat, I'm in. We know that you want to be considered for the drawing, and we will do that right at the end of the half hour. So just drop in, I'm in, if you want a free copy of Ken's book and workbook. So tell us about the title, Ken.
It's not mine. It's from the editors and from the team at the publishing house that they came up with it. But it really landed for me because we had tried to crowdsource the name of the book. And it just was going round and round in circles because you're trying to find the perfect name, the catchiest, the shortest, something that's going to ignite. And when she wrote to me and said, Unapologetic Manifestation, I went, oh, that's it. And then she created the tagline, 5 steps to create the life you want. And it just landed because a lot of the work I've been looking at is how people shy away from saying, oh, no, that I don't want to get that big, or I don't think I can do that, and how we're taught to play small, both as individuals and in organizations. Well, we have to stay in our lane. We have to look at our market share. Well, why don't we want to expand the market share? Why don't we want to expand the pool who could be interested in our product, in what we're having to sell or teach or deliver? Instead, we play small so that we can be successful in a small pool. Also, there's a belief that if we're successful, we're taking it from someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when she said unapologetic manifestation, it really landed because part of the book is about how we create win-win situations for everyone involved, not just ourselves, but for the others we're working with, for other companies, with other organizations, for other people on the planet. And then when we do that, we're existing in the real world, the infinite universe. There's no lack in all of creation, but we pretend and we live in this consciousness of scarcity. I've got to get what's mine. I've got to protect my market share. I have to block that interloper who's coming in to steal mine, rather than coordinating, co-creating, and making a bigger pool for everyone. So unapologetic.
The critics of manifestation or other theories that fall into that say that it's just magical thinking. It's not. It doesn't have tangible results, and particularly for business leaders who are on the call today or who are watching this video later, how do you respond to it? It's just positive thinking.
Yeah, well, they're right. There's a lot of junk out there. There's a lot of just, name it and claim it and you'll appear. Say your affirmations and turn around 3 times and say the right perfect number and it'll all appear for you. And it's just nonsense. What manifestation really is a disciplined, conscious way of creating in the world, aligning your thoughts, your actions, and your intentions coherently to purposefully and tangibly create what you imagine. Because everything in the world, everything in the physical world that man has created, started as an idea. Started as an idea of a product, started as an idea of a relationship, started as an idea of a solution. And then it is manifested in the world in physical form through the creative process. So manifestation exists all the time. We're all doing it, but we do it unconsciously. And if you take a look at your life, and if you take a look at your organization you may be running or leading, it's already manifesting. But what is it manifesting? Is it manifesting what you really want, or are you just getting things that are just showing up unexpectedly? And it has to do with the unconscious energy, the unconscious culture of you or your organization.
Thanks for that answer and for that distinction from magical thinking I love you talking about belief systems is the new BS, and so I wrote down the disciplined, conscious way of creating. As you described that, Ken, I can imagine doing that with my clients who are entrepreneurs or scientists or researchers or CEOs of companies. I can talk about giving them a disciplined, conscious way of creating. I can't talk about giving them magical thinking. So I like that definition. So you throughout the book, wonderful stories, not just of our family, but stories of people you have worked with and people you've interacted with. But I think really based at the individual level. So how do we know that this will work for a startup or for a team within a bigger company or within a company itself? How do we know the 5-step process of unapologetic manifestation can be applied to a business realm?
Well, that's a great question, and I get it often. So I'm going to tackle it from 2 different ways, JD. So the first is organizations are made up of people. And there's a lot of research that shows that one negative person in a team will derail the whole team. Even to the level of if you have a small group working on one thing and there's just one naysayer in the group, they will become less and less productive because other people adjust to that one individual and it shifts everything in the collective consciousness and the collective culture. And so as a leader, I talk to people about having to consciously create the culture of your organization so that you are aligned in your mission, you're aligned with your strategy. If you can write all of the 3-year strategic plans you want, but if your culture is eating it alive, it's not going to manifest in the world like you want it. But when you do the work with the individuals and with building the corporate culture that fosters creative thinking, that fosters positive and optimistic thinking, then you find out what you do well and how to apply it in your life. And this is across the board in organizations I've seen and studied. Eric Cooper, who created Appreciative Inquiry on how organizations change, right? Can't remember his first name right now, but you know who I mean. Anyway, it's that idea of developing and understanding what we do well as an organization or as an individual, and putting the right people on the bus in the right seats gets you to your goal. And that is a way and is a culture of honoring the individual contributions that contribute to the whole. And so it does apply in business. In the book, you'll see stuff from Angela Duckworth, who does studies on grit and tenacity and how people have been successful across all kinds of organizations. You'll see studies from different people who've run organizations, from Amy Cuddy, and also blanking at the moment, but the one I can remember is Phil Hansen, who talks about embracing the shake, right? And it's like, so we all as individuals have strengths and weaknesses or challenges to overcome. And as organizations, we have the same thing. And when we can embrace our seeming limitation, we can exploit it to be our superpower, to be our creative advantage in the world. And that's how I use that kind of research.
So I've heard you talk about the book for years in the process, and certainly for the year leading up to the publication in January, but I've not really heard you describe it quite this way before, Ken. Is it safe to say it's both a collection of stories that you have lived yourself of manifestation, but also a curation of TED Talks and research and examples from beyond just what you know at Unity that's now all in one place? Is that how you've built the body of research to support you?
Yeah, well, most of my research doesn't come from Unity at all, right? Most of it comes from the secular and the business and psychological world, or the academic world. And I compare it to what have been taught in Unity and what's been taught in spiritual organizations for millennia. The power of meditation, the power of focused prayer, right? The power of coherence and community are things that spiritual organizations have always taught. But what's nice now and what's really powerful is how social sciences and brain sciences and psychology now all have proof that how that works. So we can fine tune. So what this book is a collaboration of all and a culmination of all those teachers. I've collected all those ideas from across that spectrum and put them together. And I'm a storyteller. So I tell stories that illustrate the facts. So that's what people remember. They don't remember the facts or the data necessarily, but they remember the person's stories of how they overcame. Like Amy Mullins, born without fibula bones in her legs, her parents had to make the heart-rending decision to amputate her legs below the knee when she was 1 year old. But from that, she learned really how tenacity. She learned how to be creative. And she says, I have always had to imagine my life because what I do has never been done before. Right? And so she's used the power of imagination and the power of limitation to create something the world had never seen. She was one of the first people to run on the cheetah legs model, the little carbon fiber legs and competed in the Paralympics. And now she's an actor and activist and model and just amazing. Yeah. So I tell her story because it's inspiring.
Compelling. It's so compelling. And I love that your book captures all of that, but you also cite and direct people to like TED Talks or other multimedia resources. And then can you also talk a bit about what's available on your website? And if we could drop Ken's website into the chat so that it's available to everyone. But it's not just a it's not just the book on the website. There's more there than the book itself. And before you answer that, I'll just let people know, if you have questions you want me to pose to Ken, we'll have time for a few viewer questions in just a moment. But tell us about 5steps.org and what else is up there.
So the 5steps.org is about the book, but it is much more than that. So there's one of the first things is that there are 8 meditations listed in the book that you can do in order or any random order you want. Some of them are going viral. They have 20-something thousand views, and it's just launched back in January. So it is starting to take off. They are guided meditations that exist in the book, but they're me leading you in them. So a guided meditation that involves rhythmic breathing to reset your brain chemistry, a relaxation process to get you out of your physical body into a relaxed state so you're able to access more, and then a guided visualization, which includes, in the process of the meditation, writing down what you're seeing, hearing, and feeling, and then a process of reading it silently and then reading it out loud. That entire process of meditation shifts you and creates new neural pathways in your brain. There's neuroscience that backs it up, that this process of physically longhand writing and reading silently and aloud quickens the process of making the new neural pathways in our brain. And if we want to create something new in the world, we have to be new. We have to be different. And so this process shifts you. It takes about a half an hour a day, and the commitment to it is phenomenal. I've watched my students who do it, I've watched myself do it, and see how different I am by that simple process of committing a half an hour a day to starting my day with this kind of meditation.
I love that the website and the meditations allow you to activate the lessons that are in the book. I mean, I've got hundreds of books behind me on my bookshelf, many of which I've read, many of which I've not yet read. But to have something that lets the book come into life and come into an active engagement, so it makes the difference that it promises.
And then in the community I'm building too, also on the website, there's a place to sign up for the newsletter. So I send out a weekly newsletter. It's called Abundant Living, and it's on the bottom of every page of the 5steps.org. You can sign up for the newsletter. And on Sunday evenings, you get a short newsletter from me. It's just a page long of some reading about some topic that I'm studying right now about how to manifest in the world or creativity. And then there'll be a couple links of people I'm following, people I'm listening to, TED Talks I've gotten excited about, or some new research that's come up. So a couple quick links if you like that. And then a great quote or two. So that's my 3-2-1, my clear little James Clear, Atomic Habits, for people who don't know, because I know that nothing happens in the world through massive change. It all happens in small, incremental changes.
Yeah.
Right? And I say it like this: baby steps aren't small for the baby. They're life-changing events. And so what we do as adults now is make small micro changes to our patterns and to our thinking, and the trajectory of our lives change fundamentally.
Got it. That's great. I haven't seen any questions come in from the chat yet. So if they're there we go. Amanda Geisinger asks, an obstacle I've never overcome is the scenario where a person in power isn't invested in the health of culture that they're responsible for. Assuming I have less organizational power than any of these people, how do you recommend I approach that scenario? Is walking away the only option?
No, one of the options is you don't bang your head against the wall. So walking away is an option. I like to say right doors open easily, right? So, but within the organization, there may be doors that open to you that aren't at the level you need to get to, but you start smaller. So you work with a team that's willing and you transform the one team within the larger organization. If it's a good CEO, they will notice how well that team's performing. They will notice the culture shift, and that team can infect the rest of the organization. People will want to join that team. So rather than doing it holistically across the whole organization, I'd find where I could make inroads within the organization and change that culture. And then that might get replicated across the whole organization. But yes, having a CEO or C-level leader who's all on board with you is essential. It's what I did when I was board chair of Unity World Headquarters. The CEO was all on board with this kind of change and was so enthusiastic about creating a new culture that it took 10 years, but they
Wow.
changed department by department to move the culture. And that's how organizations, large organizations, shift and change.
That's a vivid example. I want to get to one more question from the audience before we wrap up and do our drawing. How can we, from Lisa Allman Baldwin, how can we apply the 5 steps in our career if we're a solopreneur and not immersed inside of a company culture, rather than working with the corporate leadership teams or creating a new business? So advice for the solopreneurs like Lisa and myself and others on the call.
Well, solopreneurs are so amazing. First off, hats off, because I love working with other people. It lights me up. I'm very much an extrovert in that way. I get my energy from working with other people. So when you're having to be alone, it's important that you have real clear boundaries about what it is you want to create. That's step one, to focus your mind, right? And so what do you want to achieve in your business? And that has to be your North Star, that you have it so emblazoned across your computer screen or in your mind that you always know what is the goal. And then you're sorting everything in your life, including all the people you work with, to achieve that goal. So the problem in business sometimes is we take any client and any situation because we need it to keep the business afloat. So what the choice has to be at some point is to say, this is who I want to work with. This is how I want to work. And then filter and wait for those to appear.
Got it.
And that way, when the right work shows up and you're able to really be your best, you're going to show up better. You're going to be more successful in the long run. And then you pull people in who you build your team around this 5-step model. You build your whole team into understanding they want to shift their consciousness. They want to take new concrete steps. They want to share their journey with the world, right? Those are the ways you do that.
Oh, that's excellent. So we're just almost at the end of our time here.
Wow.
In a moment, a half hour goes fast. In a moment, we are going to give away a copy of Ken's book and my book. Before we do that, I want to tee up our last conversation in this series. This is unboxing. I sure hope it's the right book in there. Yes. Training Zen by Truett Black is going to be my interview 2 weeks from today. Same bat time, same bat channel. Truett will be with us from Taipei talking about his new book. And now, for whoever was in the raffle, who are we giving away Ken's book and workbook to? Jennifer Bell White for Ken's book and Elizabeth Mora for JD's book. thank you both for being with us. This video will be sent out to everybody who was on the call and everybody who registered. So please share this widely. Thank you, Ken, for being with us and talking about how to apply the concepts of unapologetic manifestation into organizations and teams. Thank you all for being with us, and have a great day.